a buddy of mine, he's like, "You drive really fast." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude." He's like, "Let's trail." I was like, "Okay, I have to have someone to, kind of like, hey,
slow down.
Okay, you know.
Hi, I'm Nigel, and you are listening to the first episode of RC Truck Talk. I am really excited to talk to our first guest, recent winner of 2 titles at the Scale Nationals held in Las Vegas, Nevada last month, owner-operator of the crawl space in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, a man totally immersed in the world of tiny trucks, Ikaika Farrior. So let's get started.
So when did you actually start competing in RC?
I would say 2010-ish. Getting into RC crawling, I actually started running pro and sporty trucks before I even touched a scale truck. And coming from a driving family, being a competitive driver, that appealed to me. Went to one big event, kind of watched what was going on. I was like, okay, this is cool. Scored a $50 box of parts, built it up, found out some guys were getting together on Wednesday night at a local park down the street. They were comp crawling, and I pretty much jumped feet first into it. Watched what they were doing, failed miserably, and I was like, "This is it. This is what I'm gonna do." I'm gonna figure this out until I at least get one course right, and
wow.
It's all been downhill from there.
So it's interesting that it didn't come easy. It wasn't like you were just a natural and went right off the, first time out and it was a great success. You had to work at it.
I when I get new customers into the shop and they're like, I've done RC, I've done go fast RC, I want to get into a crawler. I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And I always hold in my head, no one is born knowing how to drive a manual transmission. You have to learn.
Right.
The good ones might not be fast to learn, but they do it the best.
The Scale Nationals was scheduled for March 2020, the same month that COVID was declared a pandemic and the USA went into a state of emergency. The event organizers fought to bring it back onto the calendar, and despite several postponements, they finally succeeded. Set for March 2021, it was back on.
You kind of get ready. Oh, it's not going to happen. Get ready. It's not going to happen. And then once it finally happened, I'm not going to lie, it was definitely a let's go do this. Let's get it done. Awesome terrain, very well hosted. The host did very well. Jason Johnson and Scott Cawthon out of the Las Vegas area did a really good job. Class 1 courses were extremely tough, probably some of the hardest courses I've driven on in a very long time. The Class 2 courses were very good. Technical. There was a lot of thinking involved. Class 3 was very interesting this year, with the Class 3 trucks being so capable. The course builders definitely had to put in some more time to design the courses, to keep them competitive, keep them technical, but also keep them doable. In some places, it would hook up crazy, tires grabbing, pulling the truck, pulling the lines you're going for. And sometimes that rock would get the slightest bit of dust on it or schlep off dust, and the truck would just fall right off the line. So it was intermittent as far as traction goes.
And I saw on some of the video, they actually had out of bounds areas marked on the course to dictate how you transition from gate to gate as well.
Correct. Yeah. The use of boundaries. I'm not a huge fan of that because I do like the free flow form of most scale courses, or just, scale crawler, comp crawler courses. But we can also see when a builder does put in a out of bounds mark, then you have to drive that line.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how, part of the skill set is picking your line between the gates, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
Sometimes you can see you really sort of work hard to get through a gate, and other times you can see you're trying a little bit, and then you sort of, nope, I'm going to winch. It seems like you've gone in with a plan.
Yeah, I mean, I have a general idea, and I think over time, I've, for lack of a better term, developed how I want to attack a course or come at a course. I'll walk it, get to watch a few drivers drive it, get an idea of like, okay, what's happening here, what's happening there. And then the at least when I start driving, the plan is finish it. That's it. Get through this with as little penalties as possible and finish it. The minutia of that plan, I'm not fully aware of at that time. My class 2 final, I definitely had a plan. Class 3 was the plan, or the class 3 final, I should say, was basically survival. I cannot emphasize the grade without showing somebody the grade of the class 3 finals. It was like this. I was borderline concerned with myself falling, not just the truck.
Right.
And, I got through it. I was lucky to finish it. I watched the other drivers drive it. I think one of the drivers before me, his name's Wyatt. I forget his last name. Really great kid. I think he came running down off of the course because his truck fell. And then I don't know if he slipped and he kind of, throttled out, ran it out and was safe to get to the bottom. I'm like, I see that. I'm like, oh, I've got this kid by at least 150 pounds and probably 25 years. This could be bad. This could get interesting real quick. So
no,
that plan, at least class 3, was survival.
Did you think this kind of course actually played to your strengths?
That's really hard for me to say because I usually just blank out before I start driving. I look at the gates, I look where I need to go, I look at the order, I look at the obstacles, and it's obviously a test of your driving skill. So it might have preyed on my weaknesses, but fortunately, I was lucky to overcome that. I'm saying luck because I'll take luck over skill any day.
No, never want to kiss away luck. That's always a good one.
No.
It must be very hard. You're driving, you're looking at what you're doing, you have a task in hand, and now you're also engaging in climbing, an unfavorable terrain with dubious traction, and also you're carrying a remote in one hand. And, so what's to worry about? Come on now.
No worries. And the other factor I had to deal with personally was I wear prescription sunglasses during the day, and then I had to switch to basically my reading glasses, non-tinted lenses, because it was getting dark when we were driving the finals, and that has a different prescription. So I'm walking around blinking my eyes, probably looking crazy, trying to get my eyes accustomed back to my regular reading glasses without the tint, with a different prescription. So I'm like, I caught vertigo a few times and I'm like, please don't fall, just tense and hold on.
Right. I mean, I have been out to some of those areas, and I know what it's like. I mean, those rocks give you the most amazing traction, like you said. But I mean, if you happen to, you get down the base of them, or you get into those little sand piles, that stuff is it's like sort of graphite, isn't it? I mean, it has no resistance whatsoever. It's just
exactly. It just kind of slips out from underneath you. And the other thing too was interesting about the terrain. There was actually hollow points in the rocks themselves. You could, you'd be walking along and click, 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 donk. There's a hollow spot inside that rock. So you're like, okay, I probably should step away from this. We need to get something to mark this so nobody puts their foot through it,
Oh my gosh.
And then other parts of the rock were crumbling. I moved probably a 600-pound boulder just by jumping on top of it to get out of the way, or, get a better vantage. It moved and then crumbled underneath my feet. And I mean, it's, at least 5 feet, guesstimating the weight, 5 feet across. Yeah. Fortunately, it didn't destroy any courses, thank God. But I was like, okay, I got to watch myself out here, because
wasn't quite what you expected.
No, I can bounce off of rocks all day long as they're solid. But when they're crumbling and or moving, you definitely add that factor in there.
I didn't realize it was like that. That's obviously it's something you don't get. You don't see that on the video, do you? You don't get that impression.
No, I mean, me goofing off somewhere else or whatever, that should never be on a video. But yeah, focus on the driving and the drivers there. So
You said that the class 3 course was very tough. Do you think courses should be as hard, or do you think should they just be hard and put the driving competition down to a time, or do you think they should have a almost sort of test to destruction element where you allow for gates not to be completed, on purpose? Is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you think?
I do like technical courses. The point of competition, at least in my mind, is to test your driving skills. I think all of those factors culminate into the equation of a good course. Time management, gates that are doable within the realm of each class, whether it be class 1, you can winch through it, or, get that little bit of lucky bump to pop it up through a gate, or you can winch it. Class 2 being the most universal or the most easily accessible by the general public. Again, is it that easy pop, that little quick pop of the throttle, or winch? And class 3, again, now you've got rear steer, dig is available, you've got a winch. So each class has to have its style of courses. A class 3 course would be impossible for class 1. And we're the other thing is we have time to deal with.
Right.
We have people's different opinions while they're building courses. You want to get it done, but you want it to be cool and fun and challenging and technical, and mixing all of that in within an hour of the event happening. Things get missed, but overall they usually turn out pretty good.
Do you practice? If you're not competing, do you practice much, or is that something?
Not at all. That's been another stigma of owning a hobby shop. They're like, oh, you must be driving on these rocks all day. I'm like, no, I have not
running a business.
Yeah, I'm running a business. I pound on a keyboard more than I drive on rocks. I have not, we have 100 tons of rocks in the shop, give or take. I have not touched that with a truck, even a customer's truck that I'm working on, in probably about 3 years. Yeah. And I rarely get to drive unless it's like go time.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't want to ever dispel anyone from not practicing, because part of practicing should also be having fun.
Right. But if you're busy, I mean, you sound like you're a very busy man one way and another. I mean, there's only so much time, and there's a lot of things to fit into that time. There's a lot of demands on your time, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It has been very, very busy. And what I say to people, excuse me, is I work on customers' truck more than my own. Mine usually sits in the corner, looks at me longingly, then gets mad and turns its back to me while I'm working on like 10 other trucks. And I'm like, I'll be there in a minute. Okay. But to me, when I'm at the shop, that's the job. That's
right.
Help the customers, get them what they need, fix what I can, give the best advice possible. And somebody's going to go have fun. Somebody's going to go have fun this weekend, even though I'm going to be here
working on another person's truck.
Exactly. And I've gotten to the point I enjoy the building more and more, and that keeps fueling, to drive better as well. I got to build, and then I got to drive.
Right. Do you think we're getting to a point where we'll have the sort of not the ultimate design, but I suppose there's a point where there's going to be a formula that everyone will follow? Do you think?
I think it's already there.
Yeah.
Geometry never really changes in my mind. I'm the idea guy when it comes to my collective. Hey, this is the idea that I have. What can you guys do to make it work? I know it sounds terrible.
No.
I'm at the point where I have the idea and then I pay for everything. So it's like, okay, this is what we need to happen. What can you guys come up with to make it happen? What can we do to make it tangible? I got my buddy Casey over here. He's like, well, I'm going to do this. I run it by my guy, Frank. He's like, oh, well, maybe we can do this a little bit. I talked to my partner, Ty. He's like, what do you think? And we come together and it all coalesces. I almost think about it. I spent a lot of years in the music industry. It's like playing the blues. Everybody plays the same chords, but they all play it a little different.
Right.
So if you like what this person's playing, you're going to go listen to that. Or if you like what this company's doing, you're going to go run their stuff. And that's how people will still, I guess, keep evolving because they want to change something. And eventually a new factor is involved. But I think the formula is there.
Yeah.
At least how I see it.
Because it seems to be, there's obviously been a big change in motors. There's the battery packs are getting more and more efficient and smaller. Tires have definitely improved.
Yes, I think the motors are, if you're running a brush motor, you're talking about 18th century technology. And how can you make that better? The guys that are making motors are taking that base idea and have taken it to a new level, even though at its core, it's still the same electromagnet.
Right.
And I'm not the guy to ask about that. I'm not that smart.
Right.
I know who makes good motors, and that's what we sell. That's what we use. And, we know that it's going to work. And with how things are evolving through the industry, it's going to grow, but I don't think it's going to change a whole lot.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm hitting that right.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I like it. It's like an open-ended book. Is it going to end? Hopefully not.
Right.
What is this story going to develop into? I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's been pretty good so far. But yeah, it's grown over the past 3 years. I mean, I remember when we first were in like 2013, 14ish. I'm like, oh, this is it. We're at the height of it, and it just exploded even more.
Right.
So that just opened your mind. I was like, well, it's really never going to end. What are we going to come up with next?
I think it's fairly safe to say there is no better time to be a one-man startup. Production, to produce a workable prototype now, or even a small production run, it's never been easier. So
absolutely. It's you can prototype 3D imaging, 3D modeling. You can I think you can get it's almost like CD players back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, a CD player was like $800. Now you can buy one for $15. And now somebody's like, yeah, I picked up a 3D printer. Oh, what'd you get? How much did it cost? Oh, I got this, and it was like $200. I'm like, it's like a microwave,
Yeah.
It's like,
no, it's crazy. It really is.
I think my TV costs more than that. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some of the old school guys, and they're like, yeah, we used to cut chassis out of road signs. Like somebody had a one-way sign, took it off, and cut a chassis out of it. And
right.
that's what he did. And he had to cut it by hand.
Yeah. It's I mean, yeah, like you say, you talk to some of those people that had to sort of do all sorts of sort of MacGyvering. I'm sure they must be shaking their heads sometimes, just saying, boy, if only, we had chances for stuff like that.
Exactly. It's like, well, back in my day, and I had to walk to school in the snow, and you guys take Uber. Well, back in my day, I made a chassis out of tinfoil, and I got through. And now you're like, oh, here's your carbon fiber.
That's right,
enjoy.
yeah.
You don't know.
No, it's crazy. On the question of builds, as we're moving in that direction, your Class 2 rig, I feel that's a very iconic vehicle. When did you make that originally? And has it stayed in its original form?
Let's see if I can remember that far back, and it's literally only been a couple years. Well, my Class 2 has been the same color for most of the time. Somehow I happened on this olive drab green. Yeah. And I just kind of went with it. And I think it was, I'm trying to remember now, started in 2016. I built a TTC truck to go out to the Arizona or Copper State Scale Nationals, and that kind of spurned the what I call the Swamp Series. My TTC truck I built is called Swamp Ghost. The Class 1, which developed, I believe, in 17, or I put together, that was Swamp Rat, and then my Class 2 was Swamp Dog, and it held the name through the different variations over time since 2017, and nothing has really stayed the same besides the tires, I guess.
Okay.
It's I think I still have the same tires and wheels, different axles. The chassis has changed over time as we developed the Game Changer chassis platform, and that has always changed in the configuration from central transmission to a divorced transmission T-case. That's, as its current standing, is as close as it has been since like early 2019. Changed the axle. I'm trying to remember what I did. That's most of it. So it's been a Frankenstein.
So it's morphed over that. You haven't really stood still. It's just you're constantly modifying.
Yeah, I'll get the Game Changer. We have a group of people that work together. We call it the Crawl Space Collective. Basically, all the minds that come together on developing chassis. What can we do better? What can we do different? So as those different iterations come out, I'm the guinea pig for that. As far as, okay, let's throw this in there. This geometry is different. Slap that on the axles and the drivetrain that I have. Go run it and see how it does. Call it a trial by fire.
Right.
And I've been lucky that it's been working out okay so far. And with our series that we host here, and then also going out to Scale Nationals, it's been getting the job done, apparently.
Obviously, we are not at all of the level of needing a full custom built truck. So how does this process work for someone with, say, an RTR or a modified RTR truck? I'm sure there are some people say, I want to be a competitive crawler. That's what I want. Can you hook me up? This is what I need. I want what you've got. But a lot of people, like to test the waters, and from being business, I mean, it's tough. An expensive competitive truck, that might be a price barrier too.
Yes, and I've dealt with all of them, and I should say I've worked with every side, every facet of the community. And I'm gonna touch briefly back. The ready to run has been good. It's also been bad, and we can touch on that if you want. But it does get people into the hobby. And yeah, 9 times out of 10, most people don't know what they're gonna do. And what I say to a new customer is like, well, pick what looks cool to you. What draws you to that.
Right.
If you get a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, they got to look good first.
Right.
We'll deal with the problems later.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna slide it in, and we'll deal with the problems later.
Right.
But and that gets them into it, and I let them know, start with this. Oh, what upgrades are available? Let's not worry about that.
Right.
Because I've had guys running ready to run trucks. My first ready to run scale truck I drove for like 2 years, bone stock, nothing. Had a big old cheeseburger smile on my face, and I say that to people. I was like, you might enjoy this for what it is, right out of the box. Right. You don't need to spend any more money. I know this is an investment. It's a toy, but it's an investment in yourself, an investment in fun. And I do have the guys, I want to compete, and then that's where I say, well, you can't skip cutting your teeth. I've had customers, I want this, I want what you have, just like you said. It's like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is the pre-operation. This is what's going to happen, and it's happened to me more than once on an occasion. Somebody pays me fairly large sum of money for the labor and the time and the parts put into a competitive scale truck. I hand it to them, they drive it, and they're like, it doesn't work. I was like, well, remember when I said you need to cut your teeth first?
Right.
You tried to skip from point A to point Z.
Right.
You can't miss all of that. Again, going back to driving stick shift, you're not going to jump into a $250,000 car and expect to know how to drive it.
Right.
You got to start with a crappy Toyota Tercel 4-speed, that you bought for $500.
But it amazes me because you can actually get an off-the-shelf vehicle to crawl pretty well.
Yes,
maybe not exceptionally well.
And that's a factor one factor that I wish major manufacturers would consider a little bit more is tires. But and I'm coming at this very random statement now from both sides. I'm on one side of the counter. I'm also on the other side of the counter.
Right.
Axial puts out a truck A. Let's just say Axial puts out a truck. It looks great. It looks awesome. It appeals to the general public, and it does what it needs to do. And as I've said to many people, it's very easy to take the truck past its designed engineering in the box. They're gonna take that truck, and the first thing that they're gonna do with it, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna pull that trigger all the way to see how fast it will actually go.
Right.
That potentially can cause some breakage, and that, I don't know if this is the right thing I should be saying, that starts the cycle.
Yes.
But in that aspect, the industry and the hobby grows. Right. This broke, or these tires aren't, we'll go back to the tires. The tires aren't working. Well, okay, we at the hobby shop, we've got 20 different tires. Take your pick. What's going to work best? Well, if we like these, we like these. If you like the look of these, there's those. And then that fuels the driver, the customer, driver, the builder. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to get those tires.
Right.
Oh, those work really well. So that's going to give them that little bump of like, oh, okay, what else can I do?
Right.
Here's the wheels, here's this, here's that. And next thing you know, as some wives have told me, I've created a monster. And I was like, I just provide the options.
So do you think, can someone, in your experience in competitions, is there still a place for an RTR?
If it was compared to this scale nationals, no. And that's where we need to find a bridge from new customer or new driver, new truck. How do we get them to, I don't even want to say my level. That's a joke in my head. But how do we get that new driver to come out and have some fun?
Right.
Finding that in between, I hate to say it. It's like, I don't want to say I don't know what it is. I know what it is. It just hasn't been done yet. You've had Brian Parker doing his Recon G6 thing, which has brought more people out and in a pseudo competitive spirit. You guys doing, local groups and clubs doing their get-togethers, basing the competitive aspect of their events and gatherings, tailored to their friends, their community. And I think it would be really cool to see that organized a little bit more on standardized, I guess. And that was like the idea of the Sorka rule, but we're still talking about jumping, feet first into a full set of rules.
Right.
And with the influx of new drivers, you gotta get them quick in a roundabout way, or at least get them involved.
Right.
And get them hooked. Hey, come out. It's a lot more fun when there's a bunch of people driving together.
Oh, for sure.
That it's like, hey, let's all go out. And I drove by myself once. Man, this is dumb.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. I think because you learn so much just by osmosis, almost.
Yes.
And often, it's like anything in that kind of arena. if you're with a group of people, someone goes, well, try doing that, or angle your tires over that way, or, I mean, you'll get lots of sideline coaching and stuff like that, and you will improve. It's okay as long as you have good numbers in attendance. There's nothing worse than having an event that doesn't have many participants but has a lot of classes. Then that gets confused. It's tough for the organizer. It's just tough all around, isn't it? But if you've got large volume of numbers, in some respects, if once you get over like a critical mass, it's almost easier to break them up. It would be unfair to put, say, 20 new people in with you. They're not really going to, they'll learn something, but it's going to be the division, the performance between the two groups is going to be vast.
And that is honestly one thing I think about sometimes, is like, slightly going back real quick, I'm going to touch on USRCCA or WRCCA, the comp crawler rule set. They actually did a trail class years ago, and it was fun because there wasn't any scale points involved. It was just bring your truck. We're going to run these gates. They're set wide, and it worked. At least here, in Colorado, when we did it a couple times, it worked.
Yeah.
But people wanted to keep pushing to, well, I want to comp for real. I was like, well, this is still competition. It's just not as involved, intense, rule intensive. And it went from 20 people to 15 to 10. I was like, well,
wow.
No offense. That's not enough people. Like you said, attendance to come out. I got to wake up 30 minutes earlier, set all these courses. Get somebody to judge them. We've tried it. What we say at the crawl space, we never say no. If this is an idea, let's try it. Let's give it a shot. With our events that we host in store on Friday nights, that is the beginner. It's still a Sorka based scale competition, but if little Johnny comes out 8 years old and he has a box stock truck and his truck rolls over, somebody's going to roll it over. We call it the wind. It's like, oops, the wind, and just roll it back over. So he's not getting frustrated. That's the biggest thing that I deal with, try to work around for people, is the frustration. Because I remember when I got into the hobby and I was frustrated because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm spending money. I never want any of my people to have to deal with that, a little bit, but not as to the extent that I did.
So if you had someone with an RTR and they're looking at a second vehicle, would you recommend a builder's kit and parts, or would you just suggest a box of selected parts?
Well, with Axial putting out their builder's kit, Axial Element, they jumped on that, which was really good because it expanded the options. I love options. I always push options. Okay, I would base it solely on what that driver wants to do. He's like, I had a blast with this, ready to run. What's my next one? Well, again, we're going to go back. What looks cool to you?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a SCX10. Here's a Wraith. Here's a Bomber. Here's something like an SCX10. Here's an Element Enduro. I let them dictate and I nudge in the proper direction.
Right.
I always say kit. I personally will always go kit for a new-ish driver or a second car. And then to a point, it's like, okay, this is your third car. All right, now let's start talking about custom.
Right.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. Let's take, like you said, a box of parts. Let's pull all this stuff off the wall. Boom. Let's go make some magic.
Right. Yeah. And I think that makes sense. I mean, that's also putting it in the right progression for them as well as a customer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I never want to dictate what someone should do. Like I said, these are the options, but hey, maybe you should think about this. I watched them drive, or they come out to a couple events. Well, maybe you want to try this. You're going to have more fun with this. And fortunately, 9 out of 10 times they listen, they follow the advice, and they're happy.
Right.
That's ultimately the goal. These are toy trucks. Let's have some fun.
If they've got some skin in the game, if they're making the decisions, if you make a decision for them, it's like, I don't like that. well, you asked me what I thought, but if you try and work with them, then they're less likely to come back at you. If it doesn't work quite the way, it's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have gone with that instead. And you go, that might have been a better choice, So
I've had to make critical decisions with toy trucks that have affected people beyond critical decisions I've made on multi-million-dollar construction sites. And it's like it really wasn't this hard when I was in construction, but okay, that might sound terrible, but this is someone's passion.
Right.
It becomes someone's passion, and you always want to fuel that, and you never want it to die, or you never want to stifle it.
Right.
And that's when someone chooses brand X over brand A. I don't want to think about brand A, dude. It might be a couple more bucks. You might not necessarily like the color, whatever, but you're going to be happy. And that's the gentle, but firmer nudging that I try to throw in there, because I've said to people, I've seen this happen before, dude. Go this way, I promise you. And 9 times out of 10, they're happy with it.
Yeah, but also if they happen to like a particular model of a vehicle, that might be the deciding factor for them, and despite technical difference between two kits, the difference between a Ford and a Chevy, and they're just going to go one way,
Mm-hmm.
So you can't rule that out, can you? Sometimes.
Yeah, and fortunately, I provide the information, and usually when someone has multiple trucks, they are, a regular customer. And I know when they come in, this is what they want, this is what they need. It's an in, out, hello, goodbye thing. And those are good days. It's like, hey, Bob, what you need? I need another kit. Cool. Here's this. He's happy. I'm happy. And we continue that relationship through hopefully many years.
So when you build with your building trucks, both for yourself and for your customers, what would you say is your most rewarding build, or has been, or is?
I've done a lot. I've built a lot of trucks. I should probably start writing all this stuff down. I mean, you're talking about like the most rewarding build I've ever, over the course of, tell you which ones cost the most. I remember those. I had a gentleman. His son wanted a truck, kind of on a budget. Everybody's on a budget. Hey, totally understandable. This is what he wants. I was like, okay. One of the more technical bodywork jobs I've done, I had to lay scale diamond plate on a flatbed and make it look good with as few seams as possible. I was like, okay, I can do this, but I'm gonna have to draw some stuff, do CAD design, some cardboard aided design. And I got it down. I was happy with it. I was like, okay, I got it. And I think I went through like 2 or 3 beds to get this to work right. Got the truck, painted it up, shot pictures, sent it to the dad. He's like, I love it. He loves it. We're going to come in and get it. Kid is ecstatic about it. He drives it. He's like, oh, this is my truck. This is so awesome. I was like, and I'm not going to take any credit. I'm like, awesome, dude. You look good driving it. Have fun. And, the dad was like, you did such a good job. I was like, doesn't matter what I did, dude. It matters what your boy is having a big old cheeseburger on his face and driving that truck, and you guys are going to go have some fun. That's the good part about all that.
Yeah.
Me stressing on, I'm literally blowing through material. Like, okay, well, that didn't work. That's over. Oh, that didn't work. And I'm like, all right, well, but it didn't kill me. It made a kid's day. Hopefully, he's out having fun with it, and the dad didn't have to sweat it. I was like, that works. I'm good with that.
And you took it as a challenge too.
Yeah, every build's a challenge.
Yeah.
I push for perfection, and not only in technique, or not even just the end product, but technique, time. If I can do it faster, bigger, better, faster, more. That's my mindset.
Yeah.
I was in the construction industry for a very long time. That's where my building aesthetic or push comes from. Can I do this better? Can I do this faster? Can I make it stronger? Can I make you do all these things, and that has definitely helped with building tiny trucks. I have less splinters, less chance of death. Someone's not screaming at me. It doesn't smell funny unless I'm doing body work. It's so that's added into all that, and that's allowed me to create. I've always been a hands-on builder, woodworking, pottery, painting, everything. So now I have my Zen area of workshop, and I can do these things and make a little money too.
Yeah, well, that's always handy, isn't it? When the money aspect's always nice,
Yes, it's nice. It's nice to do things that you enjoy and make a little money doing it. That's it's good. And I'm still building for a customer, but I've been fortunate enough to have customers say, "I want you to do this like it was yours." I'm like, "You don't want that." No, I want it like you do it. I'm like, all right, I was a tattoo artist for 6 years. That's another thing, is like, you do it how you would do it. You sure this is permanent, right? You understand this, right? It's on you. This is what I came here for. And that's how I learned.
But that's nice, though. That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very nice compliment.
Yes.
When it's a demand.
Yeah.
It's a demand, but it's a compliment. Okay.
No, it is. It is. And it's. I mean, I think tattoos are a little different. I mean, you do really want them to be sure that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, we're not inebriated while we're making this decision, right?
How about
no.
it? Yeah.
Okay. There's no alternative mind state right now. No. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Okay. We're good. We're good to go.
Yeah. You signed the paperwork. So.
Did you ever have a build that was a big disappointment?
This is going to be aired public, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm going through the Rolodex. That one was okay. I honestly don't think I've ever had a disappointing build. I've had frustrating builds. I've had time crunch builds. Maybe I think if there was ever any hint of disappointment or feeling of disappointment, it was after I built something for a customer. They were, maybe a little needy about this. Well, when is it done? When is it done? Is it done yet? Okay, it's done. Oh yeah, give me some time. I'm kind of a one-man act around here for building, and I get it done, and then I'd see what they did with the truck after they got it, and it's like, there's like 20 hours just in the cab alone. It gets destroyed, or the paint job that I took, I paint really fast. I've been lucky with that. I've had people, "Oh, your paint jobs are amazing." I'm like, dude, it's like 3 colors. That's it. I'll let everyone know it's just 3 colors, but I have a technique and it's nothing special. I do a paint job. Maybe I've ripped out like a beautiful gloss paint job, like this should be in a House of Color magazine. And then you see it dragged over rocks or it tumbles down. I'm like, oh God.
No.
No, because I know I'm going to see that on Monday and be like, "Hey, can you fix this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can fix it." and I'm not naming any names, obviously. And
No.
It's happened a few times. I'm like, well, if that's what he wants to do with it, and that makes him happy and he has fun with it, cool. But I know I'm going to be catching, "Hey, can you fix this?" On Monday. All right, yeah, give me a week. So
that is one downside to the rock crawling, is you build these vehicles and they're all nice and shiny and they look great, and then you know that they're just not going to look like that in a short space of time. Once you go over the first few crunches and you stop wincing, it's okay after that. But it's those first scratches are the worst, I think.
Yes, I've said many a time, take pictures now, because it's only pretty for one day.
Right.
Oh, what do you mean? Just go with that. Go with that information. Take it in, process it how you feel, and then I'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
Hey, I need a new body. Okay. Nope. You were right. Yeah, I know. I think the first RC paint job I did, that's what stemmed with speed. Is it took me 10 hours to paint this body that was super, super simple. It was my own truck, and I put one scratch in it. I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm just going to put that up. I sold it. I was like, I'm not going to worry about that thing. And then that's where my painting technique came into play. It's like, how can I do this faster? How could I not spend 10 hours? Because I can't charge a customer 10 hours to paint a body.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's, to get it done quickly, efficiently, in a timely, cost-conscious manner. That's
Right.
another push that I go for. I've taken digs a few times because I'm learning. Something went completely wonky sideways that couldn't be controlled. So that doesn't fall on the customer.
Right.
The paint dried weird. Okay, luckily
Yeah.
I've had paint dry weird and it worked. And I was like, well, is that okay? Oh my God, that looks amazing. Okay, yeah, sure.
Great, good. That was the intention, yes.
That's what I meant to do the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about, I feel like I'm exposing secrets here.
Yeah. Just don't ask me to do a second one. That's the only trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I recently have 2 bodies come in, and it's for a husband and wife, good friends. Like, we want this the same. I'm like, oh, okay. But I've done enough bodies in that whole vein that I can usually rip them out pretty good. And I think I actually, at nationals, I had a few people, hey, how much for that body? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I was surprised my body held together as well as it did, because it was literally smoking as I was putting it together, because I was running so much accelerant on it. I'm like, this is going to be interesting if and when this falls apart.
So, I mean, it sounds like the crawl space is not your average run-of-the-mill hobby store at all, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, the first hobby shop I walked into when I was young, ripe age of 10 years old, not knowing what was going on. It was a combination fishing supply store and hobby shop. And, you kind of get and this is in Hawaii. So we do things a little differently in Hawaii. I don't know what your experience is with hobby shops, here, in the US, picking up that you're probably from England.
I am.
And
I am.
I was gonna do my interrogation. I mean, ask you some questions about that later. But and what you dealt with there, or what you've dealt with in the States. You kind of, we're not atypical. We're not some old guy behind the counter, maybe smoking cigarettes and reading a newspaper, ringing up a little bottle of paint, or some doll hair for little Miss McGee down the road. It's definitely I'm looking at my wife as how to describe the crawl space. Tongue-in-cheek. Very tongue-in-cheek, very laid back, very hopefully inviting. I mean, we're in a warehouse, so there's not a whole lot of hey, you're in a warehouse. You get some more socialite moms with their kids coming in. And I try to be as disarming or I'm losing my words here, non-threatening as possible. I scare people sometimes, and I don't mean to. I can just be there, and it's scary. So, we never wanted it to be, oh, it's just another hobby shop. No, this is the crawl space. This is me. This is the extension of me. Yeah, it never fall into any one category.
How did you manage with COVID last year? Did that have much effect on your business?
There was definitely an effect. We were very, very lucky to survive all of that. We stayed busy enough to keep the lights on. A lot of new people got into the hobby, which was really cool to see. You hear about how bad it was for other industries. Out here, the restaurant industry did not do well. It sucks to see that, but we definitely were lucky to get through all of it, and I thank God that we got through it, because that was definitely I'm not going to downplay the potential for what this virus can do. The reaction was definitely big variable that I weighed in every day in my head. Okay, what are we going to do? And we got through it. We're alive. We're functioning, and hopefully that never happens ever again.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it was devastating. Like you say, it's a tough one. It's hard when you look around, because obviously, the other shops next to you and everything else, you're all part of the same community in a way, aren't you? So it's not, you don't want to see other people struggling either, you know.
No, I mean, I know feast or famine from the construction industry,
Yeah.
and feast is really good. Famine really sucks.
Oh my gosh,
And
doesn't it? Yeah.
it's you those are, they might not be your neighbor, but at least you know them,
Yeah.
and you want everyone to do well. You want everyone to be okay.
Right.
And when we were going through our kind of recession at a time from like 2012, 2014, 15, or whatever, we were kind of becoming a network. The shop became a network for people in the, I get a lot of blue collar industry guys. I was like, hey, hey Bob, you got a HVAC company. You looking for anybody? It's like, oh yeah, we might be looking for some people. Hey, I know, give me your card and I'm going to pass it over to this guy because he lost his job and he knows how to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And getting people not only growing in the community for RC cars, but it's like, well, Bob needs help, John needs a job. They kind of do the same thing. Let's get those guys together. And now not only did somebody get a job and somebody got some help, now they're friends. And then on the weekends they can enjoy playing with RC cars together, running trucks together. So
Yeah,
it just it all comes together. It all coalesces into bigger than just, hey, we're playing with toy trucks.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's a nice part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, that time in the field teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
That we're all when we're in the field, we're all a bunch of scumbags running around. We're making money. Let's go build something. And then, but when people are adversely affected by global situations, we still come together.
Right. What do you think is your major challenge, as a business owner for the crawl space?
Early on, it was getting people through the frustration of helping them with whatever truck they had, getting them pointed in the right direction. We haven't had that issue much lately. I think the biggest struggle, there's so many little ones that I have to wade through. Misinformation. With the pandemic, we had a lot of people jump on YouTube, and the transfer of information. We're an information society, but the quality of the information is the biggest thing. I hear it every day, all day, every day. I saw this on YouTube. Okay, well let's take a look at it. They said to do this, and I did it. I was like, okay. And, we're not going to name any names. And there's some people that should be giving information, and there's some people that shouldn't.
Right.
I have never said I'm right in any way, shape, or form. I just know what works.
Right.
If this is going to work, this worked for me, I had this issue, this will work for me. You kind of have the same issue. Let's try that.
Right.
And fortunately, I've been lucky that people will take that guidance. I don't ever want to, again, I don't want to say I'm telling someone,
right,
hey, try this. They're like, oh, well, they said this on YouTube. I was like, yeah, well, you can try this and you can try that. And then if it's completely absurd, it's like, well, you know what they say about the internet, right? They're like, don't believe everything you hear. Exactly. And it's good that people are getting that information, getting their thing out there on YouTube. Now everyone's a creator. I'm a YouTube creator. I'm an influencer. Okay, cool. But at least when you're doing it, try to make sure you're doing it right, or at least well. And that's it hasn't been a big opposition, but it's definitely, well, that's not necessarily right. And we try to be as gentle with that as possible.
Right. And I mean, I think the trouble is there's seeing something on YouTube, and then there's actually researching something on the internet, which is, can be a different animal for something. I mean, there are two sides to every argument, and, and I mean, I think some people are very happy just to put one foot firmly in one camp and that's it, and it's not always the case, and it's, I'm sure there's a lot of other businesses that were, the last thing they want to hear is, hey, I Googled this,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I will be very blunt about. They're like, well, I bought this on Amazon. And I was like, well, you can call them. Call
Yeah.
Amazon if you need help. I mean, if it becomes an opposition situation, usually people are like, hey, I got this on Amazon and it's not working. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not working for your application. Let's look at this over here. And I hate, I've been the bad guy for a long time, up until the past couple of years. I have to be the bearer of bad news. Sorry, dude, you kind of got burned, and then that kind of gets taken out on me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I spent this. I know you spent this. I'm really sorry. That's not going to work for you. It's not going to give you what you want. It does what it does, but it's not what you want it to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the danger, isn't it? If they're looking to you to help them pick up the pieces, that's always going to be a mess. Whereas had they came to you in the first place and spoken to you, that's a different scenario, because
Yes.
that way you could have said, well, maybe given circumstances, I would think about this over, this product over this product, or perhaps think about this aspect over that aspect, and at least weigh it out. I mean, at the end of the day, you can present the options and then they make the decision. Like you say, you bring them in onto that equation, and you're not the bad guy. Whereas if you're the ones to say it, then the chances are that whether it works or not, the person they're going to come back at is you. So.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, and we want them to come into the shop, and if it's their first stop. About half now, it's like, oh, I never heard of you guys, or I heard about you guys after I bought this. I was like, cool. What can we do to help?
Yeah.
What can we do to get you to enjoy your RC truck as much as possible? If you need some advice, we got it. If you need parts, we got that too. Whatever gets you having fun, that's what we aim for.
Yeah. Do most people know who you are when they come in the
store? Not really. Most of the times when I go out to events, I go out of state to events. That's usually when it comes up. Hey, that's the guy. That's the crawl space guy. It's the tattoo guy, whatever. I recently went to the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo.
Yeah, in Florida.
Down in Florida. That was my first time. I've been wanting to go for a while. Finally got a chance to go down there, and it was, I don't want to say eye-opening, but almost refreshing to have probably 9 out of 10 people not know who I am.
Wow.
They're like, "Oh, crawl space." I was like, "Yeah," and then we can speak candidly. It sounds terrible. I've been famous before in the music industry. I try to think I handle it well, because I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else does. I'm nobody special. I did what I did in that industry. I do what I do now. I don't ever, it feels like there's sometimes a preconceived idea of what I am.
Yeah.
And I'm no one special. You can talk to me however you want, and I appreciate the praise. It's very nice. It's very humbling, because I can let my ego run away real quick if I wanted to, but I never want to do that, especially with this. It's toy trucks,
Yeah.
But don't think I'm any better. If somebody knows who I am and wants to tell me I do well or likes what I do, hey man, that's cool, man. You can do that too. You can do it. Oh no, I can't. What do you mean you can't? I don't ever want to hear can't. If I can do it, I know everybody else can do it. And kind of break it down for people, like, yeah, dude, we're just hanging out. We're playing with toy trucks. We're having fun. There's no difference between you or me. Let's have fun. Don't worry about what I'm thinking. Don't worry about what I think about what you're doing. I want to know what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I want to share those experiences with people.
Right. Yeah. Because you never know. I mean, it always amazes me sometimes, somebody that doesn't know anything about your subject can actually make an insightful comment sometimes. You go, oh, I never thought about it like that, but Yeah, now you come to mention it, I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
take what you're saying. You say you can always learn from things like that, can't you? So
Absolutely. I've always said it's a good day if you can learn something new.
yes,
If someone, oh, I don't know who you are. Okay, cool. Let's talk, let's rap, let's share ideas, let's exchange information.
yeah,
Let's grow, let's share an experience, let's share a moment and learn from each other,
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and I believe you're hosting the Rocas Rojo in June, aren't you?
Yes, Rocus Rojo. My business partner Ty Giebel, we kind of discussed it back and forth as far as like, hey, let's do a big event, let's do a national event. I was like, okay. He and I hosted the 2015 Rocky Mountain Scale Nationals. At the time, I think we did pretty good with it. There was two factors that were a big issue. One of them was my fault. One of them was the weather, which I do not control. And then we had a food snafu, but we have that figured out. So, but yeah, we've got that planned. That's kind of been the big push for the past couple months, and definitely looking forward to it. Got a lot of people interested in it, and we're cramming a lot of events into 3 days.
Are people signing up for it now?
We've got a lot of interest. I was working on the ticketing today, and we're going to be releasing the tickets or access to the tickets as soon as we kind of get all the bugs worked out of that, because we're trying to do that through our website to just kind of consolidate it instead of bouncing around from PayPal to Eventbrite or Eventzilla. We just keep it in-house, if you will.
Yeah.
And where everybody can get the tickets.
Yeah,
exactly. Just once we have the budget, then we can put on a bigger event.
Yeah.
And that's the push. We're going to push this budget once it comes together to make an awesome event.
I think people are ready to start participating a little bit more, aren't they, this year? I think this year everyone's kind of busting the gut to get out and sort of try and feel normal again. Hopefully your time is good,
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't have any rain or snow in June in Colorado. If we do on that day, I'm going to be like, you know what?
Someone hates me.
Someone's I got plenty of those. And somebody upstairs is not happy with what we're doing. So we when we did Scale Nationals in 2015, I was in April, which is on the cusp of the most craziest weather you can ever get in Colorado. And we got rained on, snow rain mix for like a day. It was beautiful in the morning, and then it went rain snow mix, and then it was sunny and like 80 degrees the next day.
Oh my God.
So that was the weather factor. And with this big event, what's that? Yeah, we were getting rained. I mean, everything turned to mud. I was just like, oh, it's like Woodstock all over again.
not a good combination.
No, especially when you've got people hanging out on a side of a hill that turns in, goes from 60 grit sandpaper to like a slip and slide.
Ooh.
When Red Rocks, where the location where we host the majority of our events at Red Rocks, when it rains, you get off the rocks.
Oh.
You just don't even try and walk on it. It just turns slick. It's crazy to think of that.
Yeah. So that was work. Yeah. So that had more implications than I realized when you just had the weather change.
Oh yeah.
Not what you want. Not what you want.
No, we've had events at another location more in the mountains, and the area was known for thunderstorms. And as soon as dark clouds come and you hear a rumble, everyone is literally running off of these two monolithic rock formations, because there'll be a thunder and lightning cloud that will literally just blow right past it within 30 feet of it.
Wow.
And I've seen a thundercloud probably the size of like a house cruise down this valley, shooting lightning everywhere. It's just a weird anomaly. So I was like, yeah, no one die today, please. Come down off the rocks. We'll wait till it cools off. Wait till the rain goes away, and then we'll go continue to have more fun. So I have not had anyone die at an event.
No,
I've had.
It can be bad for press, So
yeah, any press is good press, right?
Yeah, bring a whole new meaning to killer event, but yeah.
Good one. But yeah, we've had some scrapes and bruises and busted noses and things like that, but fortunately nothing too life threatening.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it's not until people that do rock crawl, take their vehicles out. I mean, it is hard. I mean, it's very, very easy to fall down because you're not given full attention, and it's pretty easy just to slip or slide or
Yeah, one foot in the wrong place.
Yeah.
A little patch of sand or dirt that turns into like you say, graphite. Just there goes that leg.
That's it. And then you're trying to keep your radio off from falling. So
yeah, exactly.
I throw my body in the way first. Protect my radio at all costs.
But we at every event we say, if your truck starts to roll down the hill, just let it go. We can replace trucks. We can't replace bodies. Yeah. Replacements trucks that start at $300.
No, look at the gradient from the Nationals. I mean, I wouldn't want to roll down there.
No,
that's too much. So I've covered all my questions that I had.
Cool.
For you, Ikaika. Yeah. So is there anything you wanted to add or want to tell people how they can reach you?
Crawlspaceco.com. We've got our Facebook pages for the Crawl Space. My other shop, the Crawl Space South, the Rocus Rojo event coming up. Any major events that we will be hosting will get its own Facebook group. That's how most everyone communicates these days. And all of our events can be found on our website, and our online web store is linked through the crawlspaceco.com.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the time with Ikaika as much as I did. I wish him continuing success as both a competitor and a business owner, and I hope he manages to get out on his rock pile and have some fun. If you want to check out the Crawl Space, or you're interested in his upcoming event, the Rocus Rojo, then you should check it out online at www.thecrawlspaceco.com. If you enjoyed this episode, then please recommend us to a friend, and if possible, leave a review. For more information on RC Truck Talk, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram. Credits: music by Croander, audio production by Lee Street Productions. Again, thank you all for listening, and I hope you make some time to get out and get a little dirt on those tires.